Selena, I can't afford to lose you now. I don't care what anyone thinks.
The text arrived at 2:47 a.m., 3 words that shattered 18 months of silence. Your son, no milk. Kang Min-ho stared at his phone screen in the darkness of his penthouse, his entire world tilting on its axis. Serena John, the woman he'd loved and lost, the woman whose face still haunted his dreams, the woman who'd vanished the morning after the night that changed everything. His hands trembled as he read the message again, something primal and possessive roaring to life in his chest. She'd hidden his son from him, and now she was asking for help. Welcome to K-fairytales stories, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe. Min-ho was already moving, throwing on clothes with hands that refused to stay steady. 18 months. 18 months of searching, of hiring investigators who found nothing, of lying awake wondering if she was alive or dead. 18 months of building his empire higher and colder, becoming Seoul's most feared prosecutor by day and something darker by night. And now this, 3 words that proved she'd been alive this entire time, raising his child alone. He grabbed his keys and was out the door before his rational mind could catch up to his racing heart. The address was still saved in his phone, a small apartment in Itaewon he'd memorized during those desperate months of searching. His car tore through Seoul's empty streets like a missile locked on target. 20 minutes later, he stood outside a building that looked like it might collapse in a strong wind. 4th floor, no elevator. He took the stairs 3 at a time, his heart hammering against his ribs. When he reached her door, he stopped, suddenly uncertain. What would he say? What could he say after 18 months of silence? Then he heard it, a baby crying, high and desperate and hungry. His baby, his son. Min-ho knocked, then knocked harder when there was no answer. Serena, open the door. His voice came out rough, commanding, the prosecutor's voice that made criminals confess. But there was something else underneath, something raw and broken. The door opened a crack. Dark eyes peered out, wider than he remembered, shadows underneath that spoke of exhaustion and fear. She looked thinner, her beautiful curves diminished by what looked like months of not eating enough. Her natural hair was pulled back messily, and she wore clothes that had seen better days. She was still the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Min-ho! His name on her lips after all this time nearly brought him to his knees. You came. You texted. Of course I came. He pushed the door open gently, stepping inside before she could change her mind. The apartment was tiny, clean but worn, with a makeshift crib in the corner where a small form wailed. Where is he? Serena moved to the crib, lifting out a baby who couldn't be more than 6 months old. Min-ho's breath caught, dark hair, his mother's nose, Serena's rich skin tone, tiny fists waving in fury at the world. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. His name is June. Her voice was barely above a whisper. He's hungry. I ran out of formula yesterday. I was going to buy more tomorrow when I got paid, but he can't wait that long. Min-ho's hands clenched into fists. She'd been out of food for her baby for an entire day. Their baby. Give him to me. It wasn't a request. Serena hesitated, then placed June in his arms. The baby's crying quieted slightly, little fists waving in the air. Min-ho felt something crack open in his chest, something he'd locked away 18 months ago when she disappeared. I'll be right back. He handed June back carefully, then was out the door before she could protest. There was a 24-hour convenience store 3 blocks away. He cleared out their entire baby section. Formula, diapers, wipes, bottles, everything. His card didn't even register the amount. When he returned 15 minutes later, arms loaded with bags, Serena was pacing with June, trying to soothe him with a desperation that made Min-ho's chest ache. He set everything down and immediately started preparing a bottle, his movements efficient despite never having done this before. How do you know how to do that? Serena asked, watching him with those dark eyes that had always seen too much. I read every parenting book I could find after you left. The words came out harsher than he intended. Just in case you were pregnant. Just in case you needed me. Her face crumpled. Min-ho, feed him first. He handed her the bottle, watching as June latched on desperately, little hands gripping the bottle like he'd never let go. Then you're going to tell me why you disappeared. why you hid my son from me, why you're living in this place when I could have given you everything. Serena sank into the worn couch, feeding June with trembling hands. I couldn't stay. You don't understand what it was like. Then make me understand. Minho crouched in front of her, his hands on her knees, burning through the thin fabric of her pajamas. Because right now, all I understand is that you took my child and ran, that you let me think you were dead, that you've been struggling alone when I've been searching for you every single day. Tears streamed down her face. Your mother came to see me the morning after. She offered me money to disappear. Said a black woman with no family and no prospects would ruin your career. Said if I really loved you, I'd leave before anyone found out about us. Minho's blood turned to ice. My mother, she wasn't wrong. Serena's voice cracked. I worked at your firm as a temp translator. You were the rising star prosecutor. I was nobody. And then I realized I was pregnant, and I knew I couldn't drag you down with me. So you chose for both of us. Minho stood, pacing the small space like a caged animal. You decided I wasn't strong enough to handle the consequences, that I didn't deserve to know about my own child. I was protecting you. I didn't need protection. His voice rose, then immediately dropped when June startled. He forced himself to breathe, to control the rage burning through him. I needed you. I needed you to trust me enough to stay. Serena finished feeding June, then placed him against her shoulder, patting his back gently. The domesticity of it, the rightness of seeing her with their child, made something fierce and possessive surge through Minho. I'm sorry. She wouldn't meet his eyes. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought you'd be better off without me. Minho moved to sit beside her on the couch, close enough that their thighs touched. Look at me. When she didn't, he gently turned her face toward him with his fingers under her chin. You were wrong. About everything. My mother doesn't control my life. My career doesn't matter if I don't have you. And this child, our son, he's not a burden. He's everything. Minho, I'm not done. His thumb traced her jawline, feeling her shiver under his touch. You're going to pack whatever you need tonight. Tomorrow, movers will get the rest. You and June are coming home with me. I can't just... Yes, you can. His voice was absolute. Because I'm not giving you a choice this time. I let you walk away once. I won't make that mistake again. This is crazy. But she didn't pull away from his touch. We can't just pick up where we left off. You're right, we can't. Minho leaned closer, his forehead almost touching hers. Because this time, you're not my secret. You're not the woman I'm hiding from my family. You're the mother of my child. You're mine. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows it. Serena's breath hitched. Your mother will never accept this. My mother will learn to live with it. Or she won't. I don't particularly care anymore. He pulled back slightly, his dark eyes holding hers with an intensity that made her stomach flip. Pack, now, before I pack for you. June needs to sleep. Then let him sleep in his car seat. I had one delivered while I was at the store. It's in my car. Minho stood, pulling her up with him. June had already dozed off against her shoulder, milk-drunk and content. Serena, I'm trying to be patient, but seeing you in this place, knowing you've been struggling, knowing my son went hungry today because you were too proud to ask for help sooner, it's taking everything in me not to throw you over my shoulder and carry you out of here. She stared at him. This man who'd always been intense but never quite like this. There was something feral in his eyes, something that hadn't been there 18 months ago. What happened to you? You left. The simple answer held a universe of pain, and I realized that playing by society's rules, caring what people thought, being the perfect son and the perfect prosecutor, none of it mattered if I didn't have what I actually wanted. So I stopped playing nice. I became the man I needed to be to survive losing you. Minho, he silenced her with a kiss, sudden and fierce and full of 18 months of longing and rage and desperate love. When he pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Pack. We'll talk more at home. 30 minutes later, Serena found herself in the passenger seat of Minho's Mercedes. June secure in a car seat that looked like it cost more than her monthly rent, driving through Seoul toward Gangnam, toward Minho's penthouse, toward a life she'd convinced herself she could never have. I don't have anything nice to wear, she said quietly, staring out the window. I can't just show up at your place in these clothes. I'll buy you whatever you need. Minho's hand found hers, lacing their fingers together. Tomorrow we'll go shopping. Get everything for June, everything for you. Whatever you want. I don't want your money. Too bad. You're getting it anyway. He glanced at her, his expression softening slightly. Serena, I'm one of Seoul's highest paid prosecutors. I have investments, properties, more money than I know what to do with. Let me take care of you. Let me take care of our son. This is all moving so fast. We wasted 18 months. I'm not wasting another day. His grip on her hand tightened. I know you're scared. I know you don't trust this, but I'm going to prove to you every single day that you made the right choice by texting me. That you and June belong with me. The penthouse was everything Serena remembered and more. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River, furniture that belonged in magazines, space that seemed excessive for one person. Minho carried June's car seat inside, the baby still sleeping peacefully, and set it down in the living room. The master bedroom is this way. He led Serena down a hallway, opening a door to reveal a room bigger than her entire apartment. There's a guest room next door we can convert to a nursery tomorrow. For tonight, June can sleep in here with us. With us? Serena's heart hammered. Minho turned to face her, his expression serious. I'm not letting either of you out of my sight, not tonight, maybe not ever. He stepped closer, backing her against the wall gently. I've dreamed about having you back in my arms for 18 months. Now that you're here, I'm not sure I can let you go long enough to sleep in separate rooms. Minho, we can't just... But her protest died when his hand cupped her face, his thumb tracing her lower lip. Can't what? Pretend we don't still feel this? His voice dropped lower, more intimate. I can see your pulse racing, can feel you trembling. You want this as much as I do. I just had a baby 6 months ago. The excuse sounded weak even to her own ears. I know, and you're even more beautiful than I remembered. His lips brushed her forehead, her temple, the corner of her mouth. But I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give. I just want you close. Want to know you're real. Want to fall asleep knowing you'll still be here in the morning. Serena's hands found his chest, feeling his heart racing as fast as hers. What if your mother shows up? What if she tries to... Then I'll handle it. Minho's arms wrapped around her, pulling her flush against him. No one is taking you from me again. No one is hurting you. No one is making you feel like you're not good enough. You're everything, Serena. You and June are my entire world. She buried her face in his chest, breathing in his scent. Expensive cologne and something uniquely him. I'm so tired. Then sleep. I'll watch June. He kissed the top of her head. Go take a shower. There are clothes in the dresser that should fit you, things I bought hoping you'd come back. Then sleep. We'll figure out everything else tomorrow. The shower was luxury Serena had forgotten existed. Hot water that didn't run out after 5 minutes, water pressure that actually worked, expensive products that made her skin feel soft. She stood under the spray and cried, letting 18 months of fear and exhaustion wash away. When she emerged in one of Minho's shirts, he was sitting on the bed with June cradled against his chest, just watching their son sleep. The sight made her throat tight. He looks like you, Minho said softly. Same nose, same stubborn expression even when he's sleeping. He has your determination. Serena climbed into bed, exhaustion pulling at her. When he wants something, he doesn't stop until he gets it. Like his father. Minho carefully placed June in the car seat, which he'd positioned beside the bed, then slid under the covers next to Serena. He pulled her into his arms, her back against his chest, his warmth surrounding her. Sleep. I've got you. For the first time in 18 months, Serena felt safe. She drifted off to the sound of Minho's steady breathing, June's soft baby snores, and the promise of a future she'd thought was impossible. Morning came with sunlight streaming through windows and the sound of June fussing for his breakfast. Serena woke disoriented, taking a moment to remember where she was. Minho's penthouse, Minho's bed, Minho's arms still wrapped around her like he was afraid she'd disappear. I'll get him. Minho was already moving, lifting June from his car seat with surprising confidence. You stay in bed. Minho, I can. You've been doing everything alone for months. Let me help. He was already preparing a bottle from the supplies he'd brought in last night, moving through the routine like he'd been doing it forever. Besides, I need to learn. I've missed too much already. Serena watched him feed their son, this powerful prosecutor who made criminals confess with a single look, now making silly faces at a baby to coax him to finish his bottle. Her heart ached with how right it looked. We need to talk about logistics, Minho said as June finished eating. Your job, childcare, everything. I work at a call center. Serena's voice was small. Night shifts so I can have June during the day. My neighbor watches him while I sleep a few hours. Minho's jaw tightened. You quit. Today. I can't just quit. Yes, you can. You're not working nights anymore. You're not leaving our son with neighbors. You're staying here, taking care of June, and letting me provide for both of you. He placed June against his shoulder, patting his back gently. And before you argue, this isn't about control. This is about making sure you're both safe and healthy and not exhausted all the time. Minho, I need to work. I can't just depend on you. Why not? He turned to face her fully. I'm his father, your partner. Letting me take care of you isn't weakness. It's trust. Serena stood, wrapping her arms around herself. What if this doesn't work out? What if you wake up one day and realize this isn't what you want? I can't be left with nothing again. Minho placed June in the car seat, then crossed to her in 3 strides. He caught her face in his hands, forcing her to meet his intense gaze. Listen to me very carefully. I love you. I have loved you since the day you walked into my office with coffee and accidentally spilled it all over my case files. I loved you when you disappeared. I loved you every day you were gone. And I love you now, even more because you gave me a son. Minho, I'm not done. His thumbs stroked her cheeks. This isn't about convenience or obligation. This is about building a life together, about being a family, about making up for lost time and making sure June grows up, knowing both his parents love him and each other. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm scared. I know, but I'm going to prove to you every single day that you can trust me, that this is real, that we're forever. He kissed her forehead. Starting with breakfast. What do you want? I should cook. You should rest. I'm ordering from the best restaurant in Seoul. Sit down, relax, spend time with our son. Let me handle everything else. The day passed in a blur of domestic routine that felt surreal. Minho made calls, arranged for movers to get Serena's belongings, ordered enough baby supplies to stock a nursery 3 times over. He cooked lunch when Serena admitted she was craving her grandmother's jollof rice, pulling up recipes on his phone and determined to get it right. This isn't quite right, Serena said, tasting his attempt, but it's close. Teach me. Minho pulled her into the kitchen, wrapping his arms around her from behind, his chin on her shoulder. Teach me how to make the food you love. Teach me everything I missed. They spent the afternoon like that, cooking together, with June napping in a bouncer nearby. It felt normal. It felt right. It felt like everything Serena had convinced herself she couldn't have. That evening, Minho's phone rang. His expression darkened when he saw the caller ID. My mother. Don't answer, Serena said quickly. I have to, he answered in Korean, his voice cold and formal. The conversation was rapid, his responses getting shorter and more clipped. Finally, he switched to English. Mother, I'm going to say this once. Serena and I have a son together. They're living with me now. If you want to be part of your grandson's life, you'll treat his mother with respect. If you can't do that, then you're not welcome in our lives. The choice is yours. He hung up before she could respond. Serena stared at him. You just cut off my mother? Yes. Minho pulled her close. I meant what I said. No one disrespects you. No one makes you feel less than. Not even my family. But she's your mother. And you're the mother of my child, the woman I love. That takes priority. His hand cupped her face. I'm done playing games, done pretending I care what society thinks. All that matters is you and June. That night, after June was fed and changed and sleeping peacefully in his new crib in the master bedroom, Minho found Serena standing by the window, staring out at Seoul's glittering lights. What are you thinking? He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, pulling her against his chest. That this feels like a dream. That I'm going to wake up back in that tiny apartment, alone, struggling. She leaned into him. That this is too good to be real. It's real. His lips found her neck, trailing soft kisses that made her shiver. And I'm going to spend every day proving it to you. She turned in his arms, her hands finding his face. Make me believe it. Minho's eyes darkened with desire and something deeper. Are you sure? We can wait. I don't want to push. I've waited 18 months. Her fingers threaded through his hair. I'm done waiting. He kissed her then, deep and passionate, pouring 18 months of longing into the contact. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he lifted her into his arms and carried her to the bed. Tell me if anything hurts, he whispered against her skin. Tell me if you want to stop. Tell me. She silenced him with another kiss, and the night dissolved into heat and whispered promises and the feeling of finally coming home. Later, wrapped in each other's arms with June sleeping peacefully nearby, Serena felt tears slip down her cheeks. What's wrong? Minho immediately tensed, his hand cupping her face. Did I hurt you? Was it too much? No. She smiled through the tears. It's just, I never thought I'd have this. Never thought I'd get to be loved like this. Get used to it. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Because I'm never letting you go again. The following morning brought unexpected chaos. Minho's mother arrived at the penthouse unannounced, bypassing security with the authority of someone who'd never been told no. Serena was feeding June when the door opened, revealing an elegant woman in a designer suit who looked at her with barely concealed disdain. So it's true. Mrs. Kang's Korean was crisp, cutting. You came crawling back. Minho appeared from the bedroom, his expression dangerous. Mother, I don't remember inviting you. I needed to see for myself. Her eyes swept over Serena dismissively. See what could possibly be worth throwing away your entire future. My future is sitting right there. Minho crossed to Serena, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. My son, my family, everything that actually matters. Mrs. Kang's gaze finally landed on June, and something flickered in her expression. Surprise, maybe. Or recognition. He looks like you did as a baby. He's beautiful. Minho's voice softened. And he's mine, which means Serena is untouchable. I want to be very clear about that, Mother. You can be part of our lives and treat Serena with respect, or you can leave and never come back. But you don't get to insult her, pressure her, or try to buy her off. Not ever again. The room went silent. Mrs. Kang stared at her son like she'd never seen him before. When did you become so defiant? She asked finally. When I realized that being the perfect son meant losing the only things that mattered. Minho's hand tightened on Serena's shoulder. I love her, Mother. I have always loved her, and I love our son. Nothing you say or do will change that. Mrs. Kang looked at Serena again. Really looked this time. You have him wrapped around your finger. No. Serena found her voice, standing up with June in her arms. I love him. I left because I thought it was best for him. I came back because our son needed him. There's no manipulation here, just two people trying to build a life together. And you expect me to accept this? A prosecutor married to... Careful. Minho's voice dropped to something dangerous. Finish that sentence and you'll never see your grandson again. Mrs. Kang's mouth snapped shut. She stared at them for a long moment, the tension thick enough to suffocate. Finally, she sighed. May I hold him? Serena hesitated, then carefully handed June to his grandmother. Mrs. Kang's expression transformed as she cradled the baby, something soft breaking through her harsh exterior. He really does look like you, she murmured. Then, to Serena, what's his full name? Kang June. Serena's voice was quiet. I gave him Minho's family name, even when I thought we'd never see each other again. I wanted him to know where he came from. Something shifted in Mrs. Kang's expression. She looked at Serena differently now, reassessing. You could have given him your name, made it harder for us to find you. I thought about it. Serena met her gaze steadily. But it felt wrong. He's Minho's son. He deserves to know his father's family. Mrs. Kang nodded slowly. I was wrong about you. I thought you were after money, after status. I see now that I misjudged the situation. Mother. She held up a hand, silencing Minho. Let me finish. I don't have to like this. I don't have to approve. But you're clearly not going to change your mind, and this child deserves to know his family. She looked down at June, her expression softening further. Both sides of his family. Does that mean you'll accept us? Serena asked carefully. It means I'll try. Mrs. Kang handed June back. For my grandson's sake, I'll try. After she left, Minho pulled Serena into his arms. That went better than expected. She still doesn't like me. She doesn't have to like you. She just has to respect you. He kissed her temple. And she will, because if she wants to be part of June's life, she has no choice. Over the following weeks, Serena settled into her new reality. Minho enrolled June in the best pediatric care in Seoul, hired a part-time nanny to give Serena breaks, and somehow made it to every doctor's appointment despite his demanding schedule. He came home early, spent evenings doing bath time and bedtime routines, and fell asleep with both Serena and June wrapped in his arms. It was perfect. Too perfect. Serena kept waiting for something to go wrong. The something arrived in the form of a woman at Minho's office. Serena had brought him lunch, wanting to surprise him, when she ran into a beautiful Korean woman in the hallway. The woman's eyes raked over Serena with barely concealed contempt. You must be the mistress, she said in English, her accent perfect. I'm Han Ji-woo, Minho's colleague. We were supposed to be married before you showed up. Serena's stomach dropped. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. He probably didn't mention that our families had an arrangement, that we were engaged before he became obsessed with you. Ji-woo stepped closer. Do you really think this will last? That he won't get bored once the novelty wears off? That's enough. Minho's voice cut through the hallway like a blade. He appeared beside Serena, his expression furious. Ji-woo, we were never engaged. Our parents discussed it. I said no. There was never an arrangement. Your mother said. My mother was wrong. As usual. He wrapped an arm around Serena's waist. And even if there had been an arrangement, it would be void now. I'm with Serena. We have a son together. That's not changing. Ji-woo's face flushed with humiliation. You're throwing away everything for her. No. I'm choosing everything I actually want. Minho's voice was absolute. Now, if you'll excuse us, I'm having lunch with my family. He guided Serena into his office, closing the door firmly behind them. She was shaking, tears threatening to spill. Hey! Minho turned her to face him, his hands gentle on her shoulders. Don't listen to her. There was never anything between us. Your mother arranged it. My mother arranged a lot of things I never agreed to. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. You are not a mistress. You are not temporary. You are the woman I love, the mother of my child, and eventually, you're going to be my wife. Ji-woo is bitter and jealous and irrelevant. She's right, though. Serena's voice broke. You're giving up so much for me. I'm giving up nothing. Minho's intensity was overwhelming. Serena, listen to me. Before you, I had money and status and absolutely nothing that mattered. Now I have a family. I have love. I have a reason to come home at night. How is that giving up anything? She buried her face in his chest, breathing in his scent. I'm scared this won't last. Then I'll spend every day proving it will. He tilted her face up, his thumb wiping away her tears. I love you. Only you. Always you. He kissed her then, deep and possessive, claiming her in a way that left no room for doubt. When they finally broke apart, Serena felt steadier. Marry me, Minho said suddenly. What? Marry me. Not someday, not eventually. Soon. Next week if I can arrange it. His eyes burned with determination. I want everyone to know you're mine. I want Ji-woo and my mother and everyone else who thinks they can question us to see that this is permanent, that you and June are my forever. Minho, that's crazy. Probably. He smiled, that rare, real smile that transformed his face. But I've waited long enough. I lost you once. I'm not wasting any more time. What about a proper proposal? A ring. I have a ring. He pulled open a drawer in his desk, revealing a velvet box. Inside was a diamond that caught the light and threw rainbows across the walls. I bought it 3 days after you moved in. I've been carrying it everywhere, waiting for the right moment. But I'm done waiting. He dropped to one knee right there in his office. Serena John, you are the most stubborn, beautiful, infuriating woman I've ever met. You gave me a son. You challenged every belief I had about what I wanted from life. You made me better just by existing. Marry me. Let me spend the rest of my life proving I'm worth the risk you took by coming back. Serena stared at him, this powerful man on his knees in his expensive office, holding out a ring that probably cost more than she'd earned in her entire life. Yes. Yes? Yes. You impossible man. Yes, I'll marry you. She pulled him up, kissing him hard. But if your mother objects, then she doesn't come to the wedding. Minho slid the ring onto her finger, his hands shaking slightly. Nothing is stopping this. Nothing is coming between us ever again. The wedding happened 2 weeks later in a small ceremony with only close friends and family. Mrs. Kang attended, her expression neutral but not hostile. She'd been visiting weekly to see June, each visit thawing her slightly towards Serena. Serena wore a dress that honored both her Nigerian heritage and Korean traditions, the fabric, a fusion of both cultures. Minho couldn't take his eyes off her throughout the ceremony, his hand gripping hers like he was afraid she might disappear. When the officiant pronounced them married, Minho kissed her like he was sealing a blood oath, fierce and possessive and full of promise. The reception was small but beautiful. As they cut the cake, Ji-woo appeared in the doorway, her expression twisted with bitterness. "This is a mistake," she announced. "You'll regret this." Minho didn't even turn around. "Security, please escort Miss Han out." She wasn't invited. As guards led her away, Minho pulled Serena closer. "Ignore her. This is our day. Nothing is ruining it." 3 months later, Serena stared at the positive pregnancy test in her hand, shock and joy warring in her chest. She found Minho in his home office, working on case files with June asleep in a bouncer beside him. "We need to talk," she said. He looked up immediately, his expression concerned. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." She held up the test. "I'm pregnant." Minho went completely still. Then he was across the room, lifting her into his arms, spinning her despite her protests about being dizzy. "We're having another baby," he said, wonder in his voice. "June's going to be a big brother. Are you happy?" Serena asked, suddenly nervous. "I know it's fast." "Happy? Serena, I'm ecstatic." He set her down gently, his hands immediately going to her still flat stomach. "Our family is growing. How could I be anything but happy?" That night, as they lay in bed with June, sleeping peacefully in his crib and Minho's hand resting protectively on her stomach, Serena finally let herself believe it was real. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you more." Minho kissed her softly. "Both of you. All of you. Forever." 18 months ago, Serena had been alone and afraid, convinced she'd made the right choice by leaving. Now she was lying in the arms of the man who'd never stopped searching for her, carrying their second child, with their son sleeping nearby. She'd texted him at 2 a.m. out of desperation. He'd answered with, "Forever." And that, Serena realized, was the only kind of love worth having. The pregnancy changed everything and nothing. Minho became even more protective, if that was possible. He worked from home more often, hired additional security, and somehow managed to anticipate Serena's needs before she even voiced them. "You need to stop hovering," Serena said one morning, watching him prepare her breakfast for the 3rd time because the first 2 attempts weren't perfect. "I'm pregnant, not dying." "I know." He set the plate in front of her, then crouched beside her chair, his hand finding her small bump. "But you're carrying our daughter. That makes you precious cargo." "Daughter?" Serena raised an eyebrow. "We don't know that yet." "I know." His smile was soft, genuine. "I can feel it. June needs a little sister to protect." As if summoned, June toddled over, his 10-month-old legs still unsteady. He patted Serena's stomach with chubby hands, babbling something incomprehensible but clearly important. "See?" he agrees. Minho lifted June into his lap. "Don't you, buddy? You want a little sister?" June's response was to grab Minho's nose and laugh when he made an exaggerated sound of pain. Serena watched them, her heart so full it ached. This was her life now. Mornings with her family, Afternoons where Minho came home early just to have lunch with them, evenings spent giving June baths and reading bedtime stories. It was everything she'd convinced herself she couldn't have. But the peace shattered 3 days later when Minho came home early, his expression dark with barely controlled rage. "What happened?" Serena asked immediately. Recognizing that look, "Someone leaked information about you and June to the press." He pulled out his phone, showing her headlines that made her stomach turn. "Korean prosecutor's secret family. Black single mother trapped rising star." "They're making it sound like you manipulated me, like June was a trap." Serena's hands shook as she read the articles. The comments were worse. Vicious attacks on her appearance, her background, her worthiness. Accusations that she'd gotten pregnant on purpose to secure Minho's money. "I'll sue every publication," Minho said, already dialing his lawyer. "Defamation, libel, whatever it takes. They don't get to do this to you. Minho, maybe we should..." "Should what? Hide? Pretend we're ashamed?" He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his fierce gaze. "No, we're going public properly, on our terms. I'm holding a press conference tomorrow." "That's insane." "It's necessary." His voice was absolute. "I won't let them control the narrative, won't let them make you feel like you're something to be hidden. You're my wife, June is my son, and this baby is my child. The world needs to understand that." The next day, Minho stood before a room full of reporters, his expression carved from stone. Serena watched from the wings, her heart in her throat. "I'm here to address recent speculation about my personal life," Minho began in Korean, then switched to English. "Yes, I'm married. Yes, I have a son. And yes, we're expecting another child. My wife is Serena Kang, an intelligent, beautiful, strong woman who I'm honored to have in my life." The reporters erupted with questions, but Minho held up a hand. "I won't be taking questions about my family's personal details, but I will say this. Any publication that continues to spread false information, any outlet that attacks my wife's character, any person who thinks they can harass my family will face legal consequences. I'm a prosecutor. I know exactly how to use the law to protect what's mine." He paused, his eyes finding Serena in the wings. "My wife didn't trap me. She gave me the greatest gift I've ever received. A family, a reason to be better, a life worth living. And I will spend every day proving she made the right choice by trusting me." The room exploded with more questions, but Minho simply walked off the podium, straight to Serena. He kissed her in front of all the cameras, claiming her publicly, irrevocably. "Now everyone knows," he murmured against her lips. "You're mine. Publicly, legally, forever." The aftermath was brutal. Some media outlets backed off, intimidated by Minho's legal threats. Others doubled down, digging into Serena's past, finding her old apartment, interviewing former neighbors who had nothing kind to say about the struggling single mother they'd barely noticed. But something unexpected happened. Other voices emerged. Women who'd been in similar situations, who'd been judged for loving across cultural lines, who'd faced the same discrimination. They rallied around Serena, their support drowning out the hate. And Minho's colleagues, the ones who mattered, stood by him. His conviction rate spoke for itself. His reputation as Seoul's most ruthless prosecutor was untouchable. If anything, the scandal made him more formidable, proving he'd fight just as hard for his family as he fought in the courtroom. 2 weeks after the press conference, Mrs. Kang appeared at the penthouse again. But this time, she brought gifts. Baby clothes, toys for June, and a small box she handed to Serena with trembling hands. "This was Minho's grandmother's," she said quietly. "A family heirloom. I want you to have it." Inside was a delicate jade bracelet, clearly ancient and priceless. Serena stared at it, then at Mrs. Kang. "I don't understand. I was wrong about you." Mrs. Kang's voice was steady but softer than Serena had ever heard it. "I thought you were using my son. I see now that you're the one who makes him human, who gives him a reason to be more than just his career." "Mrs. Kang, please, call me Mother." She placed the bracelet on Serena's wrist herself. "You're family now, truly family, and I'm sorry it took me so long to see it." After she left, Serena found Minho in June's nursery, holding their sleeping son and staring out the window. Your mother called me family, she said softly. About time. But Minho's voice was thick with emotion. I told her if she couldn't accept you, she'd lose me. Looks like she finally believed me. Serena wrapped her arms around him from behind, her cheek against his back. Thank you. For what? For fighting for us. For never giving up. For making me believe this was possible. He turned in her arms, careful not to wake June. Serena, I would burn down the entire world for you. A few news outlets and my stubborn mother? That was nothing. The months passed in a blur of doctor's appointments and June's first words and Minho preparing obsessively for their daughter's arrival. He'd been right about the gender. They were having a girl. What should we name her? Serena asked one evening, lying in bed with Minho's hand on her very pregnant belly. Something that means strong, Minho said immediately. Something that reminds her she comes from two warriors who fought for their love. Ji-woo means wisdom and beauty. Absolutely not. Minho's expression darkened. That name is ruined for me forever. Serena laughed, despite the tension. What about Amara? It means grace in my grandmother's language. Amara Kang. Minho tested it, his hand pressing gently where their daughter was kicking. I love it. Strong and beautiful, like her mother. But the peace was shattered 1 week before Serena's due date. She was at home with June, Minho at the courthouse, when the doorbell rang. Security should have screened anyone coming up, but when she opened the door, Ji-woo stood there with wild eyes and something dangerous in her expression. You ruined everything, Ji-woo said, her voice shaking. He was supposed to be mine. Ji-woo, you need to leave. No. She pushed inside, and Serena saw the knife too late. You took everything from me, my future, my family's honor, everything. Serena backed up instinctively, putting herself between Ji-woo and June, who was playing with blocks in the living room. Please, think about what you're doing. There's a baby here. I don't care about your bastard children. Ji-woo lunged, the knife flashing. Serena moved on instinct. The self-defense Minho had insisted she learn kicking in. She caught Ji-woo's wrist, twisted, and used the other woman's momentum against her. The knife clattered to the floor, and Serena kicked it away. But Ji-woo wasn't done. She grabbed a heavy vase, raising it above Serena's head. Serena tried to dodge, but her pregnant belly made her slow. She felt the impact against her shoulder, pain exploding through her body. Then chaos erupted. Security burst through the door, alerted by the motion sensors. They had Ji-woo on the ground in seconds, restraining her while she screamed obscenities. Serena sank to the floor, clutching her shoulder, her other hand instinctively going to her belly. June! Where's June? I'm here, baby. Minho appeared from nowhere, scooping up their son who'd started crying. Then he was beside Serena, his face white with terror. You're hurt. The baby. I'm okay. We're okay. But even as she said it, Serena felt wetness between her legs. Fear spiked through her. Minho, hospital. Now. He was already lifting her, carrying her to the private elevator, security scrambling to follow with June. The ride to the hospital was a nightmare. Serena's contractions started hard and fast, too early, too intense. Minho held her hand the entire time, his other arm around June, his expression absolutely terrified. Stay with me, he kept saying. Both of you, stay with me. I'm not going anywhere. Serena gasped between contractions. But I think Amara has other plans. At the hospital, everything moved fast. Doctors, nurses, machines. Minho refused to leave her side, even when the medical staff tried to make him wait outside. I'm staying, he said, his voice brooking no argument. That's my wife, my daughter. I'm not leaving them. 7 hours later, Amara Kang entered the world, screaming her displeasure at being evicted early. She was small but healthy, with Minho's dark eyes and Serena's rich skin tone. Perfect. Minho held her with shaking hands, tears streaming down his face unchecked. She's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Just like her brother. Serena was exhausted but smiling as June climbed onto the hospital bed, curious about his tiny sister. Baby, June pronounced carefully, one of his few clear words. Yes, baby. Minho sat beside Serena, carefully placing Amara in her arms while keeping June close. Your baby sister. They stayed like that for a long moment, a family, complete and whole and absolutely perfect. Later, after June had been taken by Mrs. Kang, who'd appeared immediately when she heard about the attack, after Amara was sleeping in her bassinet, after the doctors had confirmed both mother and baby were healthy, Minho finally let himself process what had happened. She could have killed you. His voice was raw. Both of you. Because of me. Because of my past. No. Serena caught his face, forcing him to look at her. Because Jiwoo was unhinged. Because she couldn't accept reality. That's not your fault. I should have protected you better. Should have known she'd try something. Minho, stop. Serena's voice was firm. You can't control everything. You can't predict every threat. All you can do is love us, which you do, perfectly. I almost lost you. His forehead dropped to hers. When I got the alert, when I saw the security footage, when I thought, his voice broke completely. I can't lose you. Either of you. All of you. You're everything. You won't lose us. We're here. We're safe. Because of you. She kissed him softly. Because you taught me to defend myself. Because you had security in place. Because you got there in time. Jiwoo will never bother you again, Minho said, his voice turning cold. I'm personally prosecuting her case. Attempted murder, breaking and entering, assault of a pregnant woman. She'll spend the next 20 years in prison minimum. Good. Serena surprised herself with the viciousness of her response. She tried to hurt our family. She deserves whatever she gets. Minho studied her for a moment, then smiled slightly. My fierce wife. Your pregnant wife who just fought off an attacker and delivered a baby 7 hours later. I'm allowed to be fierce. You're always allowed to be fierce. It's one of the things I love most about you. Over the following weeks, life settled into a new normal. Amara was a surprisingly easy baby, sleeping in long stretches and only crying when genuinely necessary. June was fascinated by his little sister, constantly wanting to touch her tiny hands and watch her sleep. Minho took paternity leave for the first time in his career, spending every moment with his family. He changed diapers, did midnight feedings, helped Serena through the exhaustion of nursing and recovery. He was patient and present and absolutely devoted. I never thought I'd have this, he said one night, holding Amara while Serena fed June dinner. A real family. People who love me for who I am, not what I can do for them. You deserve this, Serena said firmly. You deserve to be loved. So do you. He crossed to her, kissing her forehead while still cradling Amara. And I plan to spend the rest of my life making sure you know it. 3 months after Amara's birth, Minho surprised Serena with a small ceremony. Just family and close friends gathered in their penthouse's rooftop garden. We got married quickly, he explained. In a rush because I was desperate to make it official. But you deserved better. Deserved romance and flowers and everyone you love celebrating with you. He'd flown in Serena's cousins from Lagos, had prepared Nigerian food alongside Korean dishes, had decorated the space with flowers that meant something in both their cultures. This is our real wedding, he said, taking her hands in front of everyone. Where I promise in front of God and family and everyone who matters that I will love you every day, that I will protect our family, that I will be the man you deserve. Serena cried through the entire ceremony, overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness, the love, the sheer effort he'd put into making her feel celebrated. When he kissed her at the end, their children watching from Mrs. Kang's arms, Serena felt something settle in her soul. This was real. This was forever. This was everything. The reception was full of laughter and music and dancing. Minho's colleagues mingled with Serena's family, barriers of language and culture melting away in celebration. Mrs. Kang gave a speech about how wrong she'd been and how grateful she was that her son had found real love. I was so worried about status and reputation, she said in Korean, translated for Serena's family. I forgot that none of that matters if you're alone. Minho was successful but empty. Serena gave him life, gave him purpose, gave our family these beautiful children. I'm honored to call her my daughter. Later, as they slow danced under string lights while their children slept and guests celebrated around them, Minho pulled Serena closer. Happy? He asked, deliriously. She rested her head on his chest, listening to his steady heartbeat. How did we get here? From that desperate text at 2 a.m. to this, you took a chance on me. Let me prove I was worth it. His hand found her face, tilting it up so he could kiss her slowly. Best decision you ever made. Second best, she corrected. First was deciding to have your baby. Our babies, he amended, glancing at where June and Amara slept in a portable crib nearby. Plural. And if you're amenable, maybe more in the future. More? Serena laughed. Minho, I just had a baby 3 months ago. I said future. I'm patient. His smile was wicked. Mostly patient. Sometimes patient. Not patient at all, she corrected, but she was smiling too. They danced until the music faded, until guests started leaving, until it was just them and their sleeping children and the Seoul skyline stretching endlessly below. I love you, Minho said quietly. More than I thought it was possible to love anything. You and June and Amara, you're my entire world. I love you too. Serena kissed him softly. Thank you for not giving up on me, for coming when I called, for being exactly who I needed, always. His arms tightened around her. Every time you call, every time you need me, I'll be there. That's my promise, forever. Years later, Serena would look back on that night as the moment everything truly settled into place. The moment she stopped waiting for disaster and started believing in their happiness. But that night, standing on the rooftop with the man who'd turned a desperate 2 a.m. text into a forever kind of love, she simply held him close and let herself be happy. Their story had started with crisis and fear and desperation, but it had become something beautiful, something worth fighting for, something that proved love could overcome anything when two people were brave enough to choose each other. Minho and Serena had chosen each other, had fought for each other, had built a life together from nothing but hope and stubborn determination. And in the end, that was all that mattered. 18 months from that first text, they stood together, surrounded by family, their children sleeping peacefully, their future stretching out bright and certain and full of promise. Serena's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, laughing when she saw the message. It was from Minho, sent just moments ago despite him standing right beside her. Thank you for texting me. Best message I ever received. Love you forever. She looked up at him, finding him already watching her with that intense gaze that still made her heart race. Love you more, she said. Impossible. He kissed her again, then pulled back with a smile. But you're welcome to spend the rest of our lives trying to prove it. Challenge accepted. Around them, souls sparkled with infinite possibility. Behind them, their children dreamed peaceful dreams. And between them, love burned bright and certain and absolutely unshakable. They'd started with nothing but a desperate text at 2 a.m. They'd built forever. And that, Serena realized as Minho pulled her close one more time, was the only story that mattered. Not how it started, but how it continued. Not the fear that brought them together, but the love that kept them there. Not the text that changed everything, but the choice they made every single day to keep choosing each other, forever.